Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Have you felt a little bit stuck, a little bit unclear, and tried to put things in place but could just not find that stability and sustainability that you were looking for? Well, that's what we will be discussing today in this episode here on our Talking Head show. And if you are new to the show and you are not familiar with me, my name is Mariska de Priya, and I will be your host for today during this specific topic on creating clarity and sustainability. So we normally look at it from a leadership lens, and of course, you are more than welcome to use this in any other areas of your life, as they might suit. Because yes, we are leaders in our own life, no matter where we go, whether we hold a title or not. So when I think about clarity, this has been something that I have really wrestled with this year. It really felt like things come into view. It's a little bit like when you look at something and you need to sort of move the thing, especially for older people. They move the thing a little bit further away from themselves to get their eyes to focus, or a little bit closer, depending on what's happening with your eyes. And if we are lucky, it comes into focus and we can see it clearly and we can actually go for the thing that we are focusing on. But other times it just doesn't want to, and it keeps this blurry, hazy view of things, and it feels a bit frustrating. So I've been sitting in that energy of that haziness for a while now, and I thought I would come and share with you here on our wonderful platform how that, not only how that feels, but also what I have found during those times has been helpful for me, and hopefully it might be a little bit helpful for you too. And then looking at how we can build a more sustainable practice or something a bit more sustainable from it. So what I have found is when I don't have that clarity, when it is a bit blurry, it does create some, not necessarily anxiety, but there's a certain amount of subtle frustration that gets created inside of me. And I notice it in the way that I then interact with other people, in the way that I interact with my work. I might start to avoid things. I have also noticed that I just don't want to do it and then end up not doing it, or taking a very, very long time to do it because the clarity isn't there. Now I know how it feels when I have clarity. When I have clarity, I can do the thing. I can step into whatever it is that needs doing because I know what the steps are. I have worked them out. I can take action, and I can take clear action. So what I have been playing with lately is really moving with the energetic feeling of how it feels like to me. And if I come to a place and it feels like, well, I don't have enough clarity yet, then being a little bit more patient with the whole process and going, well, maybe that is the stage that it needs to be in right now. I don't necessarily need to have exact clarity, because I also came across a wonderful view of this thing called clarity, that we can actually look at it in about 4 different ways. And our brain functions with it in these different ways. So the clarity that we started off with discussing in this episode is really that focused clarity, right? We look at something and it is clear. We can read the words, we can see the picture, there is detail, and we see all of it. So that's a very focused type of clarity, and we need that type of clarity to take action. It's normally, for most people, a little bit tricky if we don't have that to take action. Now, we have other types of clarity that we might need too. And when I don't have my focus clarity, that's the clarities that I then start to explore and look at. So some of the clarity might be a lot more big picture clarity, right? So when I think about big picture clarity, it would involve things like, does this actually align with who I want to be in this specific role, this specific space, this specific area of my life? So if you were to think of this in a leadership position, for instance, it might be that the organization is moving in a specific direction, and because of the direction that they're moving in, they decided to, I don't know, close one of the departments, and they need to reduce numbers in that department. And you might be either adjacent to the department or in the department, who knows? And for you, the approach that they're taking, because remember, we can do a whole bunch of things in this world, and energetically, the approach may or may not align with us. So the approach that the organization might be taking is, well, we'll just cut numbers, won't say anything, we won't consult, and we'll just do the thing. Now, typically, hopefully, most organizations has grown past this, but I do know of a few that have not. So if we were to be in that situation where we're getting into this retrenchment period, it might not align with our values as a leader. Our position might not be in question at that stage, but we still need to work through how are we actually going to take the message to the rest of the people? How will we communicate this? How will we have those really, really difficult conversations? Because we are impacting other beings that is in this with us right now. And we want to also make sure that maybe we have a positive impact. So it's not going to be a fun conversation by all means. This will never be an easy conversation. And if it is an easy conversation for you, you might need to go and check your value system. So potentially not an easy conversation, and we can still have a positive generative impact. So what do I mean by a positive generative impact? Well, this might look like me going and getting clarity on what's my values. What do I actually want this conversation to feel like? And what would I want this person to feel once we have finished with the conversation? So it might not be immediately after the conversation or during the conversation so much, but some of my values might be that I want to really ensure that this person feels supported. Right. So me supporting them does not mean me keeping them in the job, because I cannot do that. But me supporting them might look like brainstorming with them what might be next steps for them. It might look like where it is that we can look at support in their wider system that would be helpful for them, or coming up with a bit of an action plan. Because typically when we are in these situations, so if you were to put yourself in the other person's shoes, they will, one, depending on what sort of communication came up front, be a little bit surprised, or they might not be surprised, but disappointed that it's the position that this is happening to. And there's going to be, in all likelihood, a lot of stress coupled with that, and even fear, because that human being have their own internal things that they're going through. So how can we help them through this process so that when they get to the other side of it, even though it's not easy, they might be in a better place? Now, if that's my intention when I go in, having that conversation, and I have clarity about the intention I have and the values I want to actually speak to, that makes it a lot easier to have that conversation. Do I need to have the conversation worked out word for word? So do I need that focused clarity? No, I don't, because I don't know what the other person will say. Because I have intentions set and I know which values I want to communicate, it already gives me enough clarity, so high level clarity, that I can proceed with the conversation, even though I haven't worked it out word for word. So that's one sort of clarity that we can think about. How it's showing up for me in life at the moment is looking at energetically what works. So I have found that I will have this wonderful idea today and think about, well, I want to work on a survey that I had in mind, or I want to work on a piece of work that I have in mind. And then I plan it into my diary and I want to do it on, say, Thursday or whichever day it is of the week. And I get to the day of the week and I sort of just go, oh, I don't feel like it. I really don't feel like it. It's not that I don't have the ideas, but I don't feel like it. I mean, the other day, I went and I bought 4 different books, 2 of which I'm still really interested in reading, and 2 of which, as soon as they arrived, I sort of looked at them and gone, well, it's good for them most probably to live on my bookshelf for a while, but I don't feel like reading them at the moment. I really don't. It feels like not the right time, and it might never be the right time, and that's fine too. So looking at the energetic feeling of it, sometimes it's a little bit of in the moment thing for me. So getting that clarity is helpful for me to really check in with myself and go, what is happening right now, right this minute, with what I have planned? And does this work or does this not work? So that's another type of clarity that we might need to gain is if you think about your physiology, right? Your body is trying to send you messages constantly. We often do not listen to the body. We only think, oh no, mind. And then we have a tendency to plan things. And I know I do this, so I am very sure there's other people out there that does this too. We plan things, and because it's planned, because it's in our calendar, we feel we have to do it. There's no choice, there's no backing out. And I will sit down, and I have done this in the past where I've sat down and I tried doing it. Oh man, it either took me forever to do it, or I just procrastinated on a whole bunch of other things. I would get up and I would start watering plants, or I would get up and go and make myself a cup of tea and then come back and then think about the thing again. And it wasn't the right time for it, because maybe the clarity I needed was part of distilling. So that's the other portion of clarity that our brain has. If you think about your brain as having 2 functions, so the one clarity, the one we spoke about very early on, being very focused, right? That's your engineers in your brain, so to speak, because they're very focused and very task driven. So if you give them something, task, whatever it is, they'll get it done. Easy. But then we also have our wizards. Now, with wizards, as with any magic, it has a tendency to love happening in the background, right? So if you think about something serendipitous that has happened to you, or something that was just feels like a coincidence, but if you look at it and sort of going, well, I've been hoping for this thing for a while now, and coincidentally, it just happened. There's most probably other things at work that caused it to happen. And if we looked at it, it might not have happened. So that's the part of the brain in life and the brain itself that has the wizards. And if you think about the bright ideas that you get during a walk, a shower, playing with your kids or your pets, that is part of your wizard network working. Because what's happening is the brain is still working on the problem in the background, but we are not necessarily focusing our clarity on it. So it is gaining clarity by itself and working things out, and we are continuing doing other things during our day. So that might be the other type of clarity. And really, what I've noticed is if I look at the energetic feeling for me and noticing it in my body, I can switch to the type of clarity that I need by using that as an indication. And sort of going, okay, so I don't feel like doing this right now. And it might be that I don't have enough wizard clarity for it yet. I haven't worked out how this thing works for me yet. And I might need to give it more time. So what do I feel like? I might feel like going for a walk, or I might feel like making myself a cup of tea. But then what I have also realized is in the past, I used to make a cup of tea and then come back to my workstation. That doesn't work because I'm not giving my wizards the time that they need. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a cup of tea and I'm actually going and enjoying it somewhere in a sunny spot or somewhere where I can feel relaxed and I can just enjoy my environment. So I can give my brain a bit of downtime. It is working on the problem, even though I don't need to physically sit and think about the problem. So that's the clarities that we can potentially have that we're not necessarily actively tapping into, because for some odd reason in our wonderful world, we think the only clarity that is clarity is the one where we are able to go and do stuff. So if that was you, as it was me in the past, that is not necessarily valid. So before we jump into sustainability, we are going to take a short break for some of our wonderful members on the team to share some of their things, and we will be back shortly.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
I love that ad. It feels like it sort of made my point about clarity a little bit clearer. The understanding and then taking action. That's really what clarity is for us. So that's what we explored first. And now we're going to look a bit more into sustainability and really building some of these things into our practices. Because one of the things that I have been noticing, and this is a trend now, whether you are in a corporate environment or it might just be you going through life in general, one of the things that I'm noticing is that we have a tendency to bolt things on instead of integrating and really making it an integral part of our process, system, way of being. Now, when I think about sustainability, something can only be sustainable if it is an integral part of the bigger whole. So if you were to think about a cell, now your body is made out of a whole bunch of cells, right? You do not have cells that go, oh no, we're going to go off on our own mission, and then they leave your body. That typically doesn't happen. They normally stay intact and they work together and specialize in certain ways and shapes and forms. So we have livers and kidneys and hearts and all sorts of things inside of us where our cells has specialized, and then it builds up this bigger thing that is us as a human being, right? So although your body consists of a cell and the cells makes up organs and the organs makes up the full body of the human being, the cells do not go and think, oh, well, I want to go to shopping, right? It doesn't do that. That's part of the higher being's prerogative. And the cells rely on the higher being to do the things that is serving all of the being so that they can get what they need. And that is your job. So your cells are doing their job and you are doing your job. And you are doing it as a holistic, full, complete being. Now, that is what's keeping this whole system that is called you sustainable, right? If we weren't doing that as a person or any other being on this planet, really, if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't be sustainable and the cells will just fall apart if we poke them, if we were just trying to sort of paste them together and they didn't really have a full forming function. And this process of integration happened so that they could become more than the sum of their parts, because that's really what you are. You aren't a liver or kidneys or a heart that's walking. You are a human being with all those things in you and functioning from that place. So that's what I think of when I think about sustainability. Is sustainability needs to see how we are integrating the thing into the larger system. And sometimes, a lot of the times, what needs to happen is that the system might need to be reevaluated in its entirety so that we can almost open it up, right? And then go, okay, so what does need to happen in this so that we can integrate these other pieces into the bigger system? So another way of thinking about this is if you are into making food or just the general concept of food, I know we all eat, and most of us do enjoy a slice of cake from time to time, or it might be bread, who knows? Now, in both of those situations, you will have flour, you will have eggs, and you will have water. Now, depending, of course, on your recipe, there might be milk instead of water, and you might use something else instead of eggs. But you will have a couple of ingredients, and you need to put all of the ingredients together and then mix them, right? And they integrate with each other. They actually form something new called batter or dough. So that becomes an integrated system. I don't see the eggs on their own, or the milk or the water on its own, or the flour on its own. I see it all as an integrated system. And then I put it in the oven, I bake it, and I have a yummy cake or bread, depending on what it is that you are baking. So that is a sustainable product then, right? I mean, once I have a cake and I leave it on the shelf for a couple of hours, the eggs doesn't all of the sudden separate out of it, or the water starts walking away by itself. It's all in one thing. So when you think about your own systems, your own processes, your own thinking, how are you integrating all of these new things into your system? Because that's really what's being asked of you. And the reason why I paired clarity and sustainability together is that sometimes we don't quite have the clarity on how to make the thing sustainable. We need to work it out, right? So one of the things that currently I'm working out is I'm trying to figure out in my business, I have all the basic components for it. I know when I'm starting work, when I'm finishing work, I know how my bookkeeping works. I know how all the different elements of my business work. But what I really, really want to make sure I do, and what feels to me like it will actually integrate all of these things together so that I have a cake or a bread versus separate components, is the energy that's attached to them. So at the moment, I have some of these components that doesn't quite feel wonderful for me in any case. And I haven't quite figured out how to work with them and what it is that I require inside of them that would be helpful for me to integrate them into my business so that it feels like my business, not somebody else's business. Because we are all different and we all need different types of things and different types of energy. Now, for me, I want to have fun in my business. I want to make sure that it feels light and easy. If I'm going to do something and it doesn't feel light and easy, do I really want to do it? Well, honestly, for me, I don't. So that's the things that I'm trying to figure out within my business. So when you think about the thing that you are working on at the moment, project at work, something in life, a relationship, right? Looking at that, what is it that you are trying to build into it so it feels better for you? And ask yourself, how do you actually want this to feel? What's the experience that you want from this thing, right? What's the experience currently that you are getting from it? Is there alignment? Are they the same? Or are you sort of poking in different places? Because then it's not going to be sustainable. Now, sometimes we need to let go of things in order to incorporate other things. And that's good too. But we need to evaluate it first, get some clarity, and then see how do we integrate everything together in order to make it a sustainable whole so it functions on a completely different level than it did before. So with that, I'm going to leave you so that you can go and evaluate your life, work, or any other thing that you want to, and see what is it that you need to help you make it more sustainable and actually an integrated whole instead of just putting something on the side of it. Now, if you would like to have maybe continue this conversation or any other conversations around leadership, you are more than welcome to do so by finding me on my website, which is journey2discover.com. So JOURNEY 2 discover DISCOVER.com. My email address, you can also find me there, is Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2discover.com. discover.com. Alternatively, if you would rather look for me on social media and find me there, you are more than welcome to do so. And the one spot that I am most often is on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you would be able to see my profile there if you are watching this on one of our visual channels. Otherwise, if you are listening to this, look for Mariska du Preez. And I have, looks like sort of a bookshelf in my upper banner. And that would be me, so that you can find me, and you are more than welcome to send me a note there or any type of way to start conversations, and we can start our conversation from there. So typically I work with leaders moving into leadership or moving up in their leadership. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are all leaders in our own life. So that might even apply to you. And with that, I look forward to seeing you guys during our next show. Bye-bye for now.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention. The question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
People are searching for experts every day. Are they finding you, or are they finding someone else? Every day, professionals are building authority through media. We've already built the platform. USA Global TV and Radio. Over 14,000 shows streamed to over 60 countries. This isn't about becoming famous. It's about leverage, visibility, credibility, opportunity. One interview, one conversation, one show, repurposed into content, connection, and business growth. Most people assume hosting a TV show requires a studio, a production team, and a massive budget. Our television packages begin at $1,500 US per month. Professional production, global distribution, replay visibility, built for voices with something to say. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and if this resonates with you, we should talk. USA Global TV and Radio, all rights reserved. Contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations. meaningful connections and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.